going to I guess the darker side of things, we have to talk about Sons of Anarchy. We've got to talk about not many artists have a relationship with a TV show that extends over so many pieces of work. I mean, that's a real compliment, especially for a show like that. So from the start, how did you first come into contact with?
The initial time I got a song on there actually was my lawyer in the States at the time. I don't think I didn't have a manager, or I think I had a booking agent, but didn't have much representation. And he asked the music supervisor of Sons of Anarchy, he had watched the show and was a fan of the show, I guess, and asked the guy to lunch. And just said, hey, I want you to check out this artist I have. He's unsigned. I could see a really good marriage with the show, because there's a lot of kind of dark and light and conflict within the songs, as well as there is in the TV show. And I think it could be a perfect fit. And so he just gave him my catalog to that point, and then they just started playing songs.
Because that doesn't happen very often. No,
I don't think so. And it was, it was all, this guy Steve Sessa, who's my lawyer, who's actually a quite high-powered lawyer, but he was, not because of me.
I'm not paying him much. Yeah.
But yeah, that was the beginning, and then they just continued to use songs, and then eventually started having me come in and sing on other things that they would compose, either cover songs and then we finally collaborated on a song for the finale, which wasn't intended for the finale, actually. It was Kurt Sutter who was the writer and creator of the show Sons of Anarchy, wrote the lyrics to that song.
Yeah. And
he initially had it slotted for an earlier episode and not the whole final scene kind of thing of the show, like the finale part. And but then he loved it, I guess, so much he saved it for the end.
Yeah. What is it about your music and your voice, do you think, that just resonates with that show so well?
Honestly, I think singing songs that are emotional and that mean something, and every word is to count, and then also to project vocally, I think is almost a curse in some respects of getting music licenses. Because I think licenses are often about mood and about kind of not having much content.
Okay, yeah,
you know what I mean? Because if it's too much,
it can distract from the narrative of what you're looking at.
Yeah. And in the way they would use music, especially in the kind of closing montages, which I was lucky enough to get a bunch of those sections, there wouldn't be any dialogue really. So almost for the last 5 to 7 minutes of every single episode, there's no dialogue and there's just the music, and they use it as almost another character in the show, and it helps guide the story, and it's up at full volume, and it's not
backing music.
It's not backing music, which often that kind of music, I've had other licenses that they've been that, where you could like, oh yeah, there was.
Yeah.
And that's not the case with that show.
Because Come Join the Murder, it's become one of those songs, that figures, that looms quite big in the legend of a show and kind of starts to have a life of its own.
Right.
And will draw people into.
I still don't, I know, I don't perform it, ever.
Why?
I don't know. It's weird, I don't feel, which I should, and I feel like I am cheating people sometimes, but I should, because I don't feel that much ownership, because, I had no part in writing the lyrics.
Yeah, that's true.
I tweaked a couple. I'm going to make them singable, or just I thought something would be a little bit cooler. But almost 100% was written by Kurt. And then we just made up the music and melody, which is a whole different process.
You just said that really casually. We just made up the music and the melody.
Oh, well.
Come on.
But, no, I don't know. It was only half of it. It felt,
Yeah.
It was a lot easier than writing a whole song, Or it was different. It was just a different process. But yeah, I should play it. I know people expect it sometimes, but I don't. We never play it.
Has that opened a lot of doors for you? I guess,
Oh, the Sons of Anarchy thing? Yeah. I think so, absolutely. It's probably been solely the largest thing in my career. I mean, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky that I had, I think they used 7 or 8 of just my songs that I wrote.
At least, yeah.
And then I sang 3, Come Join the Murder, and then House of the Rising Sun, and we did like a version of Bohemian Rhapsody where I sang a verse or something, which is pretty crazy. But it that allowed, you know, when it wasn't just one song where people just went out and bought that one song, you know, then there was another song and another song. And it started to be kind of this voice that people would recognize, and I think not forced, but people that were interested would then dive deeper into what other things I was doing when it wasn't just one composition. They're like, oh wow, this guy's wrote this song and this song and this song, that maybe it's something worth.
It's deeper. You can go. You can investigate.
And almost a lot of people have done that, which is expanded my audience, and you know, playing live. You know, that's where what it all comes down to, anyways, is getting people out to shows and that thing. But yeah, it's definitely helped build it, I think, quicker than anything. I mean, I've always had kind of, that's my career path. It's always just been slow, you know, with a couple like little spikes, but it's hard to tell what makes the difference. But I think that show is, you know, I mean, it's getting in front of, in America, like 5 million, 6 million people a week. And, you know, every night I have people say, oh, I've heard of you from that, or, you know, and I see that all over.
Yeah. But
I didn't realize it was such an international success as well, which is cool.
Hey, if you're going to be associated with the show, it might as well be a good one.
Right?
You know?
Yeah.
Another interesting sort of collaboration was the West of Memphis soundtrack as well. How did you get involved in that?
That was through my American label. I'm not sure. I think it was one of the owners of the label was producing some of it. So they just called me and asked me to do it if I was interested in doing something like that. And that one was it was a cool concept. The one of the main characters, so he was in jail the whole time, and it was I had to choose from these songs that he had gone into jail with.
Right.
And so it was these songs, you know, early 90s songs from like 93 to you know, or maybe like 89 to 93 or something. So there was only, you know, it was like Bauhaus, and like, so I think I chose this what was it, I think a Faster Pussycat song.
Yeah.
So, which was an odd, I mean, I would have never chose that song ever, but it was on the list, so I had kind of this short list of songs, and I was one of the last guys to do it, so I think the list was, you know, considerably shorter.
Yeah.
So I chose that song. I kind of try to do what I do with whatever I have in front of me, and kind of try to make it my own, and I think it came out cool.
You've always been quite broad in your tastes anyway, be that, you know, coming from a background of like punk and country and rock and roll and a bit of soul. Yeah,
listening wise, for sure. And I think some of it seeps out in the genres or the blending of kind of different music. But yeah, I had a long time of country music, and then punk and hardcore, and then kind of folk and some of the songwriter greats that I really respect. And then, I mean, I listen to everything kind of.
Yeah.